This is episode 548 on the 25th of July 2022 as we get closer to another milestone. We'll discuss that later, but first, let's discuss something as getting closer. Two games, India West Indies game 1 and game 2, where the match was won on the last ball. In the first game, India defended a target of 300 plus, winning the match by 3 runs. It couldn't get any more closer than it was. In game 2, they took it a step further. They did something which would have got most of the pseudo experts in the hospital by now. That how did this team, how did a second string, a B team, a C team, players who are not sure of their positions in the team, players who are only playing because the main events are being given a rest or they will play in the bigger tournaments. Of course, an India West Indies tournament has not been given that kind of an importance, so much that the main events are not part of the team and the fringe elements, the B team, the C team is doing the job. And it was done by two individuals whose position, as they say in the 50 over and the 20 over team, is not 100%. It was done by two individuals who are replacing two more fortified individuals. So in the first game, while Mohammad Siraj defended the runs in the last over, it was Akshar Patel who did the job which is usually done by his senior counterpart from the same state. So by now, most of the experts must be thinking, what is happening? How in the world did this happen? How did a second string team do the job? How did the likes of Huda and Iyer and Sky and others do it? Because there was no Pandya, no Pant, no Kohli, no Rohit. But one day we will see a team where this lot will be called the main events. Let me tell you, 3 to 4 years from now, when, as is the norm in a sport, when certain individuals call it a day, which they have to because that's how sport goes, you reach a certain age, either you are told by your governing body and the PPED media, leave. That's the door. It's a golden handshake. Or they take the deal and say, okay, I have reached the age where I have to go because that's how sports works, not because I'm getting older and there are failing reflexes. That is absolute nonsense. There is, at 34, 35, you don't have poor eyesight. As I said before, the ones who have poor eyesight and ones who are myopic are the writers, the sports writers, the sports commentators. They are the ones who are myopic and not the players whom we presume that without any evidence and without any substantial evidence that you reach a certain age and you start having diminishing eyesight or your reflexes slow down. That's nonsense. Reflexes don't slow down, but surely the myopic nature of sports writers increases, and that's why the hypocrisy and biasness for certain players rises, and the hypocrisy and biasness against certain players also rises. And that's why I do not agree with this brand of cricket nonsense. I don't see why are we using these terms. We want to play with this brand of cricket. Well, they would have said the same thing 11, 12 years ago. Nobody would have noticed. But now, because there's a lack of content, because writers don't know what to write in their 300, 400 essay, that's what they have to do. They have to write a 300, 400 page analysis of the match. They lack content, so they listen to all kinds of nonsense. They listen to commentators speak in between, and because there is a lack of space, lack of content, lack of good writing skills, it was never there, but it's diminishing day by day. So they include such petty things And that's why I do not agree with this brand of cricket nonsense. Aggressive style. I don't know what is aggressive style. You don't have to hit every ball for a six. Nobody can do it. It's not possible. Of course, you can hit six in 1 over and you can do something, but it's not the way things work. So I do not agree with this brand of cricket discussion. But as far as the two games go, of course, they won't get that much attention because you don't have the main events there. But 2-3 years from now, there will be a discussion about this, like for like replacements, and with a certain number 3 doing well in lieu of another number 3 who's not been able to do the job over the past couple of years for whatever reasons, then once again the lack of content means, do we replace this player with this player? If it's ironical and hypocritical that we talk about players replacing players because one player is not contributing and the other player has started showing his skills. Do we ever talk about sports writer being replaced by another sports writer because the current sports writer have lost all sense of thought? The content is poor. As we say, technique, we go after a certain Virat Kohli saying he's not able to have that technique which he once had. He's not able to get to that kind of levels of concentration he once had. I think it's the same with the sports writers. I think that sports writers who have been doing this for a better part of 2 decades have also lost that mojo. They're not able to write the content as you're supposed to write a content. Do we need a brand of aggression in writing? Maybe we do. If we are looking at younger players to replacing slightly older players, so I don't know how is somebody old at 33, but if that's the case, then let's go with it. Then let's replace all 65, 70 plus sports writers, sports commentators. Tell them you are done. We need a fresh lot. We need a new aggressive brand of individuals who can do the job, who have the pedigree. You were good commentators, but now you don't have the skills. You lost your mojo. Your technique is too rigid. We can say this about a player, but we will never say this about a sports writer or sports commentator because I don't know why. Because that's the thing. Because if I had the opportunity, I would blacklist all the current sports writers of all the Indian newspapers, Hindi, English, whatever language. I would blacklist and terminate the contract of all the sports commentators of all the broadcasting channels and have a fresh lot, which means the current anchors done, contract over, contract terminated. The current lot of cricketers, most of them did not even play 5 games and they're given that kind of importance as if they played 500 games. Those who did play a couple of games, they never contributed in the manner we think the current lot should contribute. They were never under that kind of scrutiny. They put the current lot under scrutiny. How can somebody who did not contribute much question the current player and his aggressive or semi-aggressive attitude? How can they say that he's not able to do the job when you yourself were not a regular part of the team? When you yourself were in and out of the team and you were finally given the boot, forget the golden parachute, you were given the brass parachute. That's hypocrisy and that's biasness. And that's, as the Hindi proverb goes, जिनके घर शीशे के बने होते हैं वो दूसरों के घर में पत्थर नहीं मारते, which means if you cannot question others' skills, if you yourself did not have the skill to do the job, you may be paid. It doesn't matter you are paid for the thing. It really doesn't matter. If I'm just wondering, nobody questioned your skills because I don't think 20 years ago such things made a difference whether you went at 4 runs per over or 40 runs per over. And now suddenly we are worried about run rates and strike rates and brand of cricket and trying to show the aggressive route and trying to make sure that we are one up on the opposition and trying to say what is the utility, and we are concerned that unlike a good old pretentious era where you had at least 4 or 5 bowlers apart from the regular bowlers who could contribute, which means the top 3 batters could bowl and bat, these discussions show that you have lack of content. Okay, so the current lot doesn't have too many bowlers, batters who can contribute with the ball. We don't need that. Whether you go with 5 bowlers, 6 bowlers, it really doesn't make a difference. It just shows that you don't have the content, and therefore you talk about such minor and trivial things. And when there is discussion about minor and trivial things, then it's time for every sports writer employed by every newspaper, every sports commentator, at least in this particular sport, who has to go. They will not go on their own. Nobody goes on their own. They have this feeling of pride and feeling of glorification and feelings of grandeur. We did not contribute, so let's target those who are not contributing. Let's discuss those individuals who scored more than 50% of what we could even score. If that's the case, then forget whether the sport is in good hands or not. Forget whether it's A team, B team. What we have is the D team in commentary. That is D for disgusting and D for dodos. The current commentators, except 1 or 2 dodos, they are no longer relevant. We need a fresh lot. If a player is forced to retire or is supposed to retire by script after every 15 to 16 years of his career, then in the same manner, in the same script, we need a fresh commentator. We can't have commentators doing commentary for 40 years, but a sports person being forced to retire after reaching a certain age. Why? Because they are old, they're losing their skills and all those things. I think all the commentators are also losing their skills. There is no skill left. So let's not target one section and say that no, commentators can be allowed to go on and say whatever nonsense they can spew, because they knew they never contributed, but now because they have a microphone in their hand, they can just open their mouths without even knowing what they're saying because they never contributed. I can tell you, none of the commentators except 1 or 2 has any contribution to show. They just praise each other, or as you say in Hindi, एक दूसरे को मक्खन लगा रहे हैं, because there is no option. The anchors also are forced to do that because there is no option. I wouldn't, if I was the anchor, I would question. I would say, have you contributed? How can you question this player when you yourself didn't do anything worthwhile? Show me proof that you did these things that you're questioning the current lot of not doing. If you haven't done, don't question them. Just because you're behind the mic doesn't mean that you can open your damn mouth, and that's important. But we'll talk about this later, and we'll talk about getting closer later. Everybody wants to have their own team for the World Cup. Everybody is saying who should go, who should not go, who should be part of a certain position. Well, this is my team, my lucky 21 for the 2022 World Cup. Those who want to question that why these players have been selected, well, question. I'm not going to justify. This is my team and this is the best we have right now. I also have backups ready if needed. So my team, at least the one who should travel, I don't know what the vanilla selectors have in their mind and what are they looking at, which I really don't care. So in my openers, I have 4 sets of openers: Rohit, Rahul, Ishan Kishan and Prithvi Shaw in the main event. For the main event, there will be of course backups, right? So Rohit, Rahul, Ishan Kishan, Prithvi Shaw as my openers. As I said, my lucky 21 team. In the middle order, there is no muddle in the middle order, let me tell you. There is muddle in the style of writing, but there is no middle order muddle. Who are the 4 For 5 individuals, Kohli, Pant, Sky, Karthik and Shreyas. These are my middle order, no muddle players. And that's the best we have right now. Of course, we have standbys. We'll talk about them as we go on discussing. But let's discuss the main event. And this is what the team should be. The selectors should not even use their petty brains and their vanilla brains. Whatever they have left upstairs, they should not even use it. All-rounders, well, the two Pandya brothers are going to be part of the team. Shardul Thakur is not going anywhere. He is one of the top all-rounders. And then, of course, another couple of spinning all-rounders and Jadeja and Akshar Patel. After what Akshar Patel did yesterday night, he is part of the team. What about the fast bowlers? You can keep questioning. Who should be there? Who can contribute? Who cannot contribute? Who can do the job? Well, that's a question which there is no answer to. But my fast bowlers, Bumrah, Umran Malik, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Ashdeep and Deepak Chahar. These are my main fast bowlers. There will be a few in the standby if something happens. I would even say take the standby with you. Have a team of 40-45. And if you're concerned about the expense, well, the Indian Cricket Board just earned a fortune. Use that entire fortune. There is no shortage of money, so let's not excuse ourselves. An Indian Cricket Board is a bully. They can bully the International Cricket Board and saying we are going to carry 45 players with us. If you have a problem, then you have a problem. But these are the main guys. And spinners, well, there are a lot of spinners, but for now, and I don't care if Bishnoi bowls only googlies or Bishnoi doesn't bowl the wrong ones or leg spinner or whatever. I don't really care about the fragilities of technicalities. These are my two spinners. So this is my team, which is the main event, which is going to the main event. So who are the standbys? Well, it was a difficult thing. There are a few individuals whom I have not included, but they will be there. So Rahul Tripathi, Gaikwad, Jaiswal, Padikkal and I add Shubman Gill to the standbys. Middle order individuals who will take the team into the next 15 years, Priyam Garg, Yash Dhal and Sanju Samson as the backup keeper. All-rounders who are not part of this group are a part of this group, and there are a lot of others also, but let's focus on them. Abhishek Sharma, Rahul Tewatia, Deepak Hooda. There could be many. If you know anyone, please add it to the list. Fast bowlers, a group which can do the job for the next 5-6 years. Karthik Tyagi, all of 21 years. Kamlesh Nagarkoti, just 22-23. Shivam Mabi, another good bowler, not given a chance. Shame on them. Shami, doing a good job. Umesh, yes. Siraj, Prasidh Krishna, and there are others as well. So these are my standbys. And spinners, people can question Rahul Chahar, and of course there is also Kuldeep Yadav. It's not been mentioned, but presume that Kuldeep Yadav is also part of the setup. So these are the guys who go to the main event. Something happens to them, you can send these individuals, one of these individuals as standbys. There are a lot of others. If you have any other name to add, please do add. Do not hesitate. And if you think the selectors have not selected the right lot, when they select the right lot, when the time comes, question that. Don't accept it. Say why this player, why not this player, what made them not select this player, because nobody will be selected, not because they don't have the merit or because you only need 2021 for a World Cup, but because the selectors have an inherent bias. The selectors will be hypocritical and they will be having a gun held to their head by the team management. Select him and not him. Otherwise, selectors don't even use their own cognition because they don't have any cognition. So let's make it clear on that aspect. But while we discuss that, let's discuss one more thing. And the winners of the men's 2022 20 over World Cup are, take a guess, who will it be? Men's 2023 50-50 World Cup, who will they be? Men's 2023 Hockey World Cup, Women's Commonwealth World Cup 2020 cricket, of course, and men and women's Commonwealth Games hockey. So these are the 5 tournaments which are going to happen over the next 1 year. There are other tournaments, of course, in track and field events. We'll discuss that later as well. But fill in the blanks as to who are going to be the winners. But let me tell you, I'm going to tell you who will it be. If you disagree, I don't care. If you agree, thank you so much. And the winners of the men's 2022 World Cup by a long way, India. 2023 World Cup, 50-50 World Cup, home supremacy, India. 2023 Hockey World Cup, once again home supremacy, India. Women's Commonwealth Games World Cup 2020, we all know who it is. Men and Women's Commonwealth Game Hockey World Cup, we all know who will it be. As far as track and field events go, we'll discuss that on a later date, because there it's a margin of a few centimeters and you can go from gold to silver, and we all know who the baby face is for the PPED media right now, so we won't go into that. But what we'll discuss is that we're now 2 episodes away from reaching a milestone episode. And let me remind you, we are getting closer, very, very close. So for all of those, this is the only show without a banana oil, unlike those Piltdowners who call themselves experts. It is the Baedeker of talk shows. When you reach 550 talk shows, when no other talk show has reached even 275 or 300, then it has to be the Baedeker of talk shows. It is the only show without a banana oil, unlike those Piltdowners who call themselves experts. So this ends episode number 548 on the 25th of July 2022, as we trot towards the milestone episode. And the next episode will be on the 27th of July 2022 with episode number 549.